So this gives you a close depiction as far as size compared to each other. Let's set this one right next to that one. Set that one back so you can see the difference in size. Well, good day, everybody. Whether it be morning, evening, or afternoon, when you're watching this, this is my Steel 271 right here. Doing a little bit of upgrades to it, or what I feel is an upgrade. And this is the 260 clone from Holtz Forma. Now, if you've seen some of the shorts, I've had some issues with that saw, working through it, trying to figure out what was wrong. And it had a really bad air leak in the boot between the head and the carburetor. I tightened that up. I've run a little over 3 tanks of fuel through this, noodling some big logs in half so I could split them. Seems to be doing better. I haven't got the new bar and chain, but I had another new chain, so I put a new chain on there. I found some issues with the other chain. I don't know what caused it, but on this saw, I changed out the clutch to this style. So that's a 8 tooth. And this is what it came with right here. So this is like a 7. So that would be close to what I'm getting ready to switch out to here, is add these little sprockets to it. So I'm changing the clutch out on this one from this, and actually this is just a drum. I'm not changing the clutch because the clutch is fine on it. Matter of fact, it's really not that old, and neither this is a steel needle bearing. So I'm just going to switch the drum itself out and go from there. It's kind of an upgrade. I like the option of having these instead. It seems like the tooth, the drive links, just set in these better, which you'll see on your pro saws more. So not hard to do. I'm actually going to use the retraining ring and the C-clip. And it's not setting all the way on there. Let's see here. Maybe I have to use a different one. Huh. Let's see here if this is a little bit different. Nope. I'll have to look into that. The clutch itself may be a little different, or I have to use the other clutch. I don't know. And I'll monkey with that a little bit, and I'll report back to you in just a second. Figure out why that's not fitting on there. That's always something simple. I just simply didn't have it all the way on there. So now there's plenty of slack. So the retaining C-clip is in there. I got that on there. Now, just like I said, I'm not using the clutch, because the clutch in this, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not using the needle or the shield plate that goes behind the clutch or the C-clip or this. I'll keep it as spare parts. So I wanted to upgrade this saw like I did the other one. Now the difference is this one does not come with an optional 8 tooth piece here, whereas this comes with an 8. So this saw, being that this saw is only 3.5 horsepower is what they say, and this is 4 horsepower. I guess that's just enough to better justify being able to put an 8 tooth sprocket on there versus a 7. This is going to give the saw more torque, and it was just an experiment to put it on here, but so far it seems like I like it, and I was going to switch it back to the 7, but in my fashion, I literally can lose something within 5 seconds of having it, and I have no clue what I did with the 7 tooth sprocket. So if it turns up, we will test the 2 out. But now that this one's running better, I wanted to test it against the 271 again and see how it works. So we're going to get it out in there in the wood, because I have plenty of firewood that I need to work on. So I'll see you out in the wood. All right, we got them out here on the log. I got some chestnut oak, some beech, some maple. I think I'm just going to go out. I was using that as a test log. I'm going to cut it up. We're going to noodle a couple of these in half, because I still like sitting down here and running the axe, slitting up some of the smaller stuff. So call me a nutball, but I enjoy doing it. I crank up the music, and I enjoy just not having the sound of a log splitter and the sound of an axe whacking into some wood. So this gives you a close depiction as far as size compared to each other. Let's set this one right next to that one. Set that one back so you can see the difference in size. So the 271 is closer to 13 pounds. This is closer to 10 pounds. And like they said in the description, these, and I said I think a minute ago, which I forgot, this is about 4 horsepower. That's about 3.5 horsepower. They're both running 20-inch bars. I haven't got the new smaller bar for this one yet, but it's running an 8-tooth sprocket, and that's running a 7. So that should have a little more torque. That should have a little more speed, but it's more horsepower, so hopefully it makes up for it, because that is an option with this one to get to 8-tooth versus 7, whereas that one is not. So my assumptions is that little bit of horsepower makes the difference. So I'm just going to cut into a few things here. I've got some more logs way down there I need to cut up. So if you want to kind of see how these do, I would appreciate it, because, well, I'm trying to grow this channel. And I think I have some pretty cool content to offer. So give me a thumbs up and a like. I'd appreciate it. And if you would subscribe, that would be better. I will try not to do too many shorts, but the shorts are what get kind of your channel attention. So please bear with me as we slowly grow. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm going to fire both of these saws up and let them kind of warm up a little bit. And then we'll get into some of the wood here. I am going to make sure I wear my hearing protection today, because I think I'm getting a cold again. This weather in Virginia is like, I think it's got ADHD like me. One day it's in the 90s, the next day it's in the 40s. It's just crazy. So we'll start this one first. New chain. I'll tighten that one up while this one's warming up. All right, check this one. Let me tighten this chain up real quick here. All right, let's see if that works. them warmed up a little bit, so I start getting onto them. That beech nut tends to grab, but I noticed those chains I got with that bar are real aggressive. So you'll see it jumping or grabbing every once in a while. It's nice, but it's a little bit more aggressive for a 20-inch bar with a 50cc saw. It's a little aggressive. Let me move you up a little closer. Hopefully you can see good enough there. There we go. That's better. It still does that weird stuff. I can't figure this saw out. Part of it, I think, is that bar that I'm having an issue with. It just seems like it's too tight. I'll get another bar, but that saw definitely opens up and runs a lot better than that saw. Now, I do have the 8-tooth sprocket on it, which is taking away some of the torque. Well, that one has the torque. If I find the sprocket, I'll put the 7 on there. That's what I got today, and I've got to get firewood cut up and done. So, like I said, I've had that for many years. That one tends to like to be warmed up a lot more. It seems to do a lot better as it warms up, where that one rips right off the bat. So I'm gonna get reset up. I'm gonna noodle these in half, because I like to hand split them, but it's hard to break them open when they're you know, a full round. If you cut them in half, then I can split it by hand. Yes, I could use a log splitter, but I enjoy my time splitting wood sometimes. So we're going to get set up here. I'll move you back a little bit. We'll get set up right here where I can put these two logs at, and we'll split those in half and noodle them with the both saws and see how they do. And well, hopefully that 260 I can get straightened out. And nice and heavy. That was like a lot of work. There we go. Just sit there. Start off with the 271 first. Again. I enjoy splitting, but now with a knot in it. That's small enough. Now it's got like a knot in it. Might be hard to split. Hard to noodle. You can come to get this stuff sticky. Alright, that's ready to split up. Now let's get the other one. Get the other saw. See how the other saw does. Try not to strain myself too much. It's round, dummy. You can roll it down there. Why'd I carry the other one? I could have rolled it down here. Alright. Let's cut this one up with the 260. I probably cut up 30 maple rounds yesterday with this saw without any issue. And of course today, it wants to have issues. it just cuts off. When I pick it up, that's tight. I think it's getting ready to blow up. All right, I ran this thing a lot the other day and had no issue with it. I think, along with the other issues with this saw, is, man, it goes through gas a lot faster. It's out of gas. What the heck? I literally just filled the two of them up. Let me go put some fuel in it. It could be on me. I'm having one of these mornings. I'm not quite with it even though I slept good. Or I did or I didn't. I don't know. You ever wake up tired after sleeping? Feel like you didn't sleep? Well, that's how I feel sometimes. Let's see if I can get the... It's out of fuel. Let's finish this up. Then I'm going to try to cut into this bigger piece of maple, which is every bit of what these saws want. So, let me get my head ear protection back on. We'll finish cutting this up here. See? You pick it up, and that piece is tight in there. that's enough of that. All right, let's move on to some other logs here. I'll say I'm gonna move my wood out of the way right here. I got that big piece of maple I've been slicing out of for a while, but I need to go ahead and get it cut up and processed. I have another one over there, so I want to turn it into slices I can. I'm telling you, yesterday, after I tightened that boot up, I made the short for that little 260. I literally cut up probably 4 times length of that log, that size, and split it into quarters, noodling it. And the saw went through like 4 tanks of fuel. So I think this thing just got a combination of issues. Poor craftsmanship, poor parts, which is unusual for Holtz-Forma. I'll be honest with you, I've been really happy with Holtz-Forma. So let me get all this stuff out of my way over to my chopping block, and then we'll come back and work on this bigger log right here. All right, now I'm going to attempt to cut this big sucker up. This is probably pushing it for a 50cc saw, but we're all about pushing it a little bit. I just don't understand that G260, because I said yesterday I tightened up the boot. It ran great. I had to readjust the carb a little bit. The low side seems to be the issue. Like when I go to pick it up, it cuts off. Probably needs a better carburetor. I think that saw's just got a combination of issues, which is not common really. Like I've had a lot of Holtz-Formas, it's really not common for it. But some people have told me that the 260 is just a weak, it just was a weak saw even from steel. That it just wasn't impressive compared to like the 250 or the 271. But I will tell you, with that 8-tooth sprocket, it cuts faster, but you got to hold up a little bit, you know, because if it grabs, if it's got a really sharp chain. So I guess the advantage to that would be not really so much what I'm cutting here with this big wood. It'd be better to have the 7-tooth, but it would have done better for like smaller limbs or limbing a tree or something like that, because it's cutting faster. So I'm probably kind of pushing the parameters for the 50cc. But we'll take some cuts in here. I've got a lot of firewood I need to get cut up. I'll tell you what, headset is nice, because these saws can be loud. You wear these, and I got these from Walker's off of Amazon. They don't do affiliate links or anything, but I had heard good things from them. So these are the low profile, so they don't have real thick foam, but they're nice. I mean, they're fully adjustable. They fit nice. I wore them for 4 or 5 hours bush hogging and stuff, and didn't have a headache, didn't feel uncomfortable or anything like that. I'm not sponsored by them, but when I find a good product, I like to share it for my other woodworking or logging friends or whichever, occasional use guys. At least, you know, wear them when you're weed eating or anything. So all right, this one has the compression brake. I'm gonna run a cut or two, and I might have to adjust the carb. It doesn't take much. dog to stick in. That's a hard test on a saw. Cutting in like that, what's happening, the tip's up against the other piece of the wood, and your noodles don't got anywhere to go. They're coming out of the bottom, but they're flinging around and it's catching on the end. So I don't normally cut them that way. I'm just doing it for push the saw, see what the saw will do. So now we got these two pieces here, and I can split those now. Let's get the 271 and do the same thing. I mean, that's what this is all about. You're trying to make a decision maybe of what saw you want to buy. So I want to show you. Both saws cost about the same, around $700 or so. Depends on where you're at in the world. This is what it costs. This Saturday, the young ones are coming over to their friend's house, and they're a bunch of rednecks like me, so they like their loud exhaust. I gotta be careful digging around this stuff. I have found copperheads before, and they like this nice stuff like this, and they can blend in really good. And it cost me about 15 grand in a hospital bill. So once, because I got bit by a copperhead. So we're not going to repeat that. I'm going to make sure I get my area cleaned out that I'm working in. Luckily I have the chaps on, so that will help. The tip of that was cutting into that. That's probably not helping having those here. I was cutting through it. Those out of the way. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take this 271. Now, these aren't race saws. It's not going to take me 9 seconds to cut through a log this size. Now, some people are like, oh, I need more power. Well, yeah, you can buy more power. I'm just trying to show you what you can do with these saws. I have big saws. We'll do that. We'll have fun with them. But sometimes I like to just show, you know, your average Joe, your farmer, whatever guy, doesn't need a big saw. What are their options? That's what it's all about. I feel better. I can see more. So, most of the time, a copperhead won't just come after you. And a lot of times when they strike, if it's an older one, they won't give you a full venom. But if it's a juvenile, they'll light you up. Well, that was interesting. This one has a little different profile. Back here was the other one's more open. You see the noodles got stuck up in there. We'll try that again. Let me clean it up. I got the cover loosened. I figured I would show you guys. I'm surprised that it bound up like that so easy. Like I say, it doesn't. That's the one thing I did notice when I was noodling with this before, is it tends to get bound up easier than that saw does. I'm trying to figure out why. I guess it got in the sprocket right here. Yeah, that's what it did. So, don't want to burn the clutch up. We'll get it loosened up. Wow, it's the whole bar. It's like little pieces got in the bar. Yeah, it won't spin on the bar. Huh. So, I don't think I had as much problem with this being an issue with the other drum. I'm just wondering if it's getting, when you're noodling, it's not doing it on that saw, but it's stuck. Let's see. Trying to keep it so you guys can see. So, I guess I could skip a lot of this stuff in the videos and not show it, but that would be, yeah, so let's see, where are we bound up at? Where are we bound up at? So, this, aha, there we are. So it got up in here, in between the clutch and the, so that kind of, that showed me something. So I was curious. Like I say, I haven't had a problem with that one. Look at that. That thing's stuck. That thing's stuck in the chain. Look at that. Had a whole bunch of debris stuck in there. So that's interesting. I didn't have that problem with the other saw. You just saw it. But this saw, or this, just it's the bar. And I'll be honest with you, I have not been impressed with Stihl's bars that much. I've had the tips jam up a lot on them, and boy, that is rough right there. That is rough. It just wore. Like I said, new chain. I literally put a brand new chain on it, but you can see that end. So, as much as I've ragged on that bar, I'll be honest with you, there's no way to oil the tip on these. And I've always found that to be an issue. Trying to get it to spin over. Yeah, see? It got debris up in it. You should be able to noodle like that without a problem. Obviously, you just saw me do it with the other saw. So, I wasn't planning on bringing this issue up. It wasn't what I had planned on doing. But there's no way to oil that and get grease on that bar in the tip. And this is the problem. I get them stuck all the time in trees, or even if you pinch this even a little bit. And that's where I got to say the Neotech bars and the chains, I don't have this problem with, or any of the ones. Even that one is a cheap ass bar as it is. As much as I've abused it, and I know the saw has issues running, I haven't had issues like this at all with that bar. Just these Stihl Roll-O-Matics. So they just, I say, you can go dump oil in there, and that's what I got to go do. I'm going to have to go dump bar oil in it, but bar oil isn't going to hold up like grease is. The tip is as stiff as can be. That, and they wear out real easy. Like, that it's already burred right there, and just wore that down. You can see where the teeth were running down inside of it. I mean, it's horrible. This is all flared out at the bottom here. Big old flare. It wasn't that way this morning because I checked them out. So this was something that wasn't really part of the video. I hadn't planned on this being in the video. I didn't think this was going to be an issue. Even though when I decided to do that, I should have known. Because like I said, these things just, I don't know. I got a 32-inch bar. It's the same way. I won't buy any more of the steel bars. If y'all got some more recommendations. I haven't been super happy with that one because I don't know. The other chain on it, on the other one had some issues that it shouldn't have. I put the other chain on it, and now it's running fine. So, yeah, that's just messed up. Let me go oil this thing up and see if we can actually finish what I started with this saw. But I don't think I'm going to be able to, just because I can't grease that and it's already stiff. I'll probably have to buy a new bar. And really, this bar is not that old because I only use this saw occasionally. All right, I filed the sides off. It's nice and smooth, and I put grease in there, squirting it in this way, but it still spins and then catches, spins and catches. Like I said, that's why a lot of times on my steels, you don't even see steel bars on them because they don't hold up. It's disappointing when you pay as much for a saw as you pay with this steel and to have crappy bars. Alright, let's see. I'm actually going to leave it a little loose. Probably need a better level surface. Would probably help. But I'm going to leave it a little loose. I've turned the bar over upside down. But some people suggest you do that every time you clean the saw up, just to flip the bar. I've never had to do that a lot, but here we are. So I'm going to run it a little loose and then tighten it because I want to make sure everything's moving. I don't want to burn up the clutch because the clutch, as I said, not that old. I'm just going to leave it snug. It might vibrate loose a little bit, but I just want to run it. Alright, that's enough to make sure it's freed up. There we go. Needs to be tight, but it still doesn't run right. Because of that tip being a little stiff. And I haven't pinched it. Like I said, this saw just gets used. I've taken it out, you know, if a tree, I keep it in the truck sometimes if a tree falls across the road down here or something. Or during a storm, I'll keep this one in a bigger saw in the back of the truck. Just in case we want to have a tree across the road or something. Do my duty to be a good citizen and help out the neighbors. Alright, I'm not going to even try to noodle it again. I'm just going to cut it right down here and let it be at that because I don't want to go through that again. I know the bar is already messed up, so I guess it is what it is. bar down there. Let's see if I can get it up on its side. And we'll noodle it that way. See what happens. Now that the bar has cleaned itself out as it comes. I'm going to cut it in half anyway. Another round log, holding up a round log is going to work. All right, take my headset off. So today was, I mean, when we do videos, yeah, it's great if all the tools work great and everything is perfect and the action shots are perfect and everything goes smoothly. Well, that's not how life works. I hate to tell you, but what we have is two saws that potentially could be good saws, but we have a combination of failures, basically, is what's happening. We have the steel 271 and the steel bar. The bar is a failure. The bar tip on those, there's no way to grease them. It's been a complaint of mine for years, and usually I go with different bars. The G260, when it's running, which I believe now is a carburetor issue, like we fixed the air leak, but now we have a carburetor tuning issue, which anybody that gets these clones will tell you sometimes you're constantly having to monkey with them and mess with them. Yesterday, I didn't feel like filming. I just was focused. I had my music playing. We can't have music in the background of the YouTube and all this and that, which takes the fun out of it and the realistic part of it, because a lot of us like to jam out when we do stuff. So the 260, when it comes to noodling, you saw it. It grabbed a couple times, but it is a more aggressive saw. So I think it has potential over the 271, but I need to get a better bar for it, which I don't want to spend a lot on that saw because I don't use it that much, but for video purposes, if anybody has a suggestion of a good brand bar for that saw that you think would be nice to try out so you can see it working, let me know. The Hostforma, the bar and everything seems to work. It's a little snug, and then having the 8-tooth sprocket on it really brings that chain speed up. I think it would really improve that one, and that sprocket may fit on that, but being a little bit lower CCs, I still think that's a stronger running saw when it is performing like it should. It's lighter, that's for sure. It is lighter and it's smaller footprint, so that is nice. So I like that. I would be more comfortable running that saw all day versus that one. You know, if I was out running around cutting logs, which I do go out and often, and sometimes I'll cut them in place and then load the loader bucket and bring them back instead of cutting them here. So I think each saw has potential. Like I said, we just have a combination of different failures that are causing a problem. Today's video, I'll stop videoing, take that saw, do a little tuning, and run another bunch of wood through it with it today. It'll go figure, but I can't video every moment of every second. So people don't watch long videos. And if there's a boring moment, they're gone. So, but I like to make it real. I like you to see, if you're going to own a saw, I like you to see all these issues that you can run across. And I try to show the problem plus possibly the solution, or we can talk about these solutions in the comment section, which many of you have. And honestly, usually after I've tuned my Hostforma or my Neotex, and I've tuned them, really, unless they sit all winter and I don't use them and I may have to start them up fresh, a little bit of a tune, but I'm not talking about a lot, usually it's fine. I got that other Neotech in there. It's almost 3 years old. I have several of them. They run great. The next video I'm going to do, when I get the other bar for that one, and that one, these are 20-inch bars, about 50 cc, so this one's 4 horsepower, that one's 3.5. I want to now move the video into the realm of 20-inch bar, 50 cc versus 62 cc. Now, we all probably can come to a conclusion of what the difference is going to be, but you never know, because I have a lot of people that have said is the 62 cc's are more only really like 58 cc's, if even that, and they're not 62 cc. So maybe comparing it to this one right here, and the 60 cc, 62 cc saw, that should be telling. But I have to get the situation straightened out with that one, because I have a Neotech 62, I have a Garwinner, I have the Dereel, I have the Supmix, I have the Neotech, all 62 cc saws. So plenty of them to compare against each other. And if you're interested in getting one of these saws, now in full disclosure, here's the deal with that saw. I bought it. You guys see the problems I'm having with it. I reached out to Holtzforma through Amazon where I bought it. Now they got a 30-day. They have a warranty longer than that on Holtzforma. Holtzforma has always, if I've had a problem, and they've also sent me saws to try out, it's always been dealt with without a problem. Sometimes it takes 48 hours, 72 hours. They are overseas. Communication right now is a little behind, but they still got in touch with me right away. Amazon said they don't want the saw back. Take the saw, run the saw, fix it if you can fix it, but it's yours. And they paid me back for it. They gave me all my money back for it. The bar, you know, we've had a problem with the chains being kind of stiff in there. And I didn't do this intentionally, but when you buy stuff, especially Amazon stuff, you buy it with some guarantees when you have Prime and stuff. And if you have a problem, you utilize the product support or whatever they offer you. Sometimes they just say, hey, returned, you know, they didn't ask to ship it back. They said, the saw is yours, keep it. When I did the Razor's Edge, I called in, and I was just trying to reach out to the manufacturers because I believe I wanted to talk to them about the problem so they could fix the problem. And then maybe they could send me something that was a solution to the problem. I did not expect them to give me my money back. I didn't ask them for it. Amazon and them offered it straight off the table, and, well, I took advantage of it. So basically, that's a free saw, bar, and 3 chains. Chains I don't think are exactly right. They're supposed to be 0.325. I think those are 3/8 chains. 0.63 guide rail. And it just seems stiff in the rail. But that one does the same thing, and that has the steel chain on it. So, you know, when they're tight, they could be, I mean, it's not like locked up. It just is a little stiff. But when you run it a little bit and get it oiled up, as far as that Holtzforma, it's supposed to have a better oiler system, more aggressive oil system. It still seems like I've got the oiler turned all the way up, and it doesn't seem like it is. I can't get it to give me excess oil when I get into woods or real dry wood is what I need. And it's not doing it any more than that is, and the 260 is supposed to have a better oiler. And I'm not seeing that. So that's another claim that I'm not seeing. And I'm trying to address all this stuff as I'm talking and I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to go through these things with you guys. If you even watch this to the end of the video, some people do and they get all the information. Some people don't. They watch 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It's not exciting enough. They just turn it off. So please don't do that. If you're not interested in the video, just simply don't even click on it, because you hurt the algorithm. You hurt content creators when you do that. So I'm going to keep running them. If I can get that thing tuned up and get it running, because I've got to get it running really good, I will. I've got some logs I need to move up here and some out at another place, some nice red oak and stuff. I'll do a short later on. Since it is Saturday, it's probably not bothering you too much. You're not at work or anything. I might shoot a couple shorts out. So that's kind of my thing. I'll be a little more aggressive Friday evening through the weekend. You can ignore them and then watch them later or whichever. I'm trying not to bother you too much during the week. I try to put my posts up at Eastern time at noon-ish or right before noon, hoping that maybe you're off. But of course, you know, if you're in California or other places, obviously it's not the same time. So I can't do that for everybody, but we're East Coast. So that's generally how I post, based on the East Coast. So But there you go. I just wanted to do a comparison. It didn't work out really like I wanted to because each saw has a slight issue. But that's life. I'll deal with it. We got plenty of time to run those saws some more in the future, and hopefully they'll do better.